Welcome to Nach Simanim. I'm Jacob Thomas, and today we will be learning melachim aleph, perek beis. We begin this perek with David Hamelech, who knows that his death is near, and he delivers his final speech to his son, and tells him to be strong, to be a man, and to follow the ways of God. He then tells Shlomo that if he follows the Torah that Moshe got at Har Sinai, he will succeed. And then he also gives him very practical, tactical instructions regarding people who are still lingering threats, that he should bring justice upon Yoav for murdering Avner and Amasa in trickery, and don't kill him, but deal wisely with Shimi ben Gera, who cursed David out in Perek Tet Zion. Following David's death, Shlomo becomes king. Now, Adoniah tries another way to get king. A wife of a king can only be married by the king, or, according to some opinions, by the next king. No one else can marry them. So, Adoniah asks Batsheva if he would be allowed to marry Avishag, the David's human body warmer, basically, because he was sick and could not create his own body heat. So Adoniah wants Avishag as his wife. So now he tells Batsheva. Batsheva goes to Shlomo and says, "Hey, Adoniah asked for this." Shlomo instantly recognizes, wait a minute, he wants the king's almost wife to try to show to the world that he is the king. Because of this, he declares that Adoniah has spoken in a way that has tried to usurp the kingship, and therefore gets Benaiah ben Yehoiada to execute him. So Shlomo then turns his attention to other people who might try to usurp the throne. He spares the life of Evyatar out of respect for his many years in service in the Beis Hamikdash, but banishes him to the field of Anatot and takes his Kohen Gadol status away. Then, hearing that people who were not such good people are now being killed, Yoav flees to the Mishkan and grabs onto the horns of the altar. This picture is very not accurate. If you want to find accurate pictures of the Aron, you can look to ArtScroll has pictures, Koren has pictures, and I guess Rabbi Stefanski has pictures. And he refuses to get down, and you're not really supposed to kill someone on a mizbeach for God, because we don't give human sacrifices. But because he was someone who is destined to die, Shlomo then gets Benaiah to kill him on the altar for his killing of many people. Then Shlomo places Shimi ben Gera under house arrest within Yerushalayim, telling him, you could stay in one place your whole life, you cannot leave. If you leave, you will die. Now, he is compliant for 3 years, but when 2 of his servants flee to God, Shimi then's like, okay, I gotta go get them. And he leaves, and he gets them, and Shlomo says, why are you trying to do this? You broke my oath. It's time to die. And Shimi's like, yeah, I did do that. And because of this, the kingdom was firmly established. Shlomo was king, and there were, for the most part, no more insurrections. As a recap, we have David's final charge to Shlomo to live a good life. We have the downfall of Adoniah, where Shlomo consolidates his power. Adoniah tries to get Avishag, and then we have the exile of Evyatar and the running away of Yoav. And we have the security of the kingdom under Shlomo, in which Yoav and Shimi are no longer. We are in perek Beis, so just like Zichru, we use a house, because Beis is a bias, which is a house. Shlomo removes his political threats from his house and establishes his kingdom. This reminds us how Shlomo begins to remove all the people who could try to upset the kingdom, that have tried to, from his house, including Adoniyahu, who in the last perek created a insurrection, and Yoav, who killed people. Evyatar was exiled because he also joined Adoniyahu in his insurrection, and Shimi ben Gera, who cursed David in the last Sefer. So he begins to remove these political threats, and at the end he establishes his kingdom. One more time with the Simon. Shlomo removes his political threats from his house and establishes his kingdom. We're now going to do a 4 perek back chazar, starting with perek Chaf Beis, in which we use a cab. David honks the horn of his cab in celebration of Hashem's deliverance. This reminds us how David in this perek begins his beautiful long Tehillim, praising God for how he has helped him, how he will help him, how he has grown him, how Hashem has saved him in many beautiful ways that are more to describe, so just read through it. Perek Chaf Gimel, in which we use a kugelach, which is a game that kids play, and it's like jacks, and we just use golden cubes. David gathers together an army of mighty kugelach with swords and shields. This reminds us how in this perek we have a description of David's mighty men, his warriors, their brave deeds, what they have done. Some of them we know from other places in Tanakh, and some of them we've never heard before, and they seem to be incredible soldiers. Now, perek Chaf Dalet, in which we use a pitcher. David pours concrete from his jug to build a mizbeach, or from his pitcher. This reminds us how David decides to count the people. A plague then comes because God was mad at David for counting the people. He gives him 3 options. David chooses the plague. Then David repents, and as the plague is going with the metaphorical description of a malach to Yerushalayim, it stops, and David asks God what to do, and God tells him to buy the threshing floor of Aravna. He does. He builds a mizbeach, and this will be the future place of the Aron, of the Beit Hamikdash. Perek Aleph, in which we use an olive tree. Shlomo is anointed as king with olive oil from the olive tree. This reminds us how in this perek, Adoniyahu tries to usurp the kingship. He gets some people together and begins to riding around in a chariot as if he's king. Now, Bathsheba goes to David and says, "What in the world is happening? This isn't supposed to happen." And David says, "You're right," and gets together people to anoint Shlomo with olive oil by a river on the king's mule, to show that really it is Shlomo who is the king. We're now going to do a 10 pop quiz. In which perek does David charge Shlomo to walk in the ways of the Torah on his deathbed? Melachim aleph, perek bet. In which perek does Shimi ben Gera leave Yerushalayim to retrieve his servant, breaking his house arrest? Shmuel bet. Melachim aleph, perek bet. In which perek does Sheva ben Bichri rebel, leading Yoav to chase him to Evel bet Ma'aka? Oh yeah, Sheva ben Bichri. Shmuel bet perek Chaf. In which perek does David decide to count and number the fighting members through Yoav, leading to a severe plague? Shmuel bet perek Chaf Dalet. In which perek does Natan HaNavi say, "You are the man," after the parable of the the rich man, and the poor man? Shmuel bet perek Yud bet. In which perek does Ritzbah bat Aya guard the bodies of her sons continuously on the stone, day and night? Shmuel bet, perek chaf aleph. In which perek does Avner anoint Ishbosheth as king over Gilad and the northern tribes? Shmuel bet, perek bet. In which perek does Yoav sternly rebuke David for mourning Avshalom instead of honoring the army? Shmuel bet, perek yud tet. In which perek does Shaul grow jealous of David because Shmuel aleph bonus question: in which perek does Shaul grow jealous of David because of the woman sing of his killing of 10,000s? Shmuel aleph perek yud chet. In which perek does Yehuda cut off the thumbs and the big toes of the captive king Adoni Bezek? Shoftim perek aleph. That is it for today. May we be zucha to finish Aleph Nach, one perek at a time, and remember, day after day. Have a wonderful day. I'm not completely sure if this last one is right.